Well, we are committed to telling stories from communities all over our state. Communities like Glenwood Springs, the small city of less than 10,000, is at the convergence of the Colorado and the Roaring Fork rivers.
Glenwood Springs is at the end of the fragile Glenwood Canyon, and the city is facing challenges and unknowns that make planning for a future a winding path. Alan Janae is uncovering Colorado.
Arriving in Glenwood Springs, the world opens up. This is a tourist town and a destination. Sydney and her husband and children moved here not long ago.
We love it.
Did you do the right thing?
Yes, 100%.
Glenwood is a place where the challenges are coming from its success.
A lot of towns would say, boy, I wish I had their problems.
Yeah.
Steve Beckley owns a lot, the Glenwood Caverns Adventure Park up the mountain on a gondola, and the Iron Mountain Hot Springs, which he's expanding.
That adds to the growth.
Yep, because right now in this facility we sell out most nights, so we need to expand.
But he's already having trouble getting workers.
15, 20 positions open and people don't even apply. They're not here.
He built worker housing, 19 units. The cost of that is rising.
Our employee housing units are about 850 square feet. I mean, those would cost without land now $300,000 to build.
Glenwood's mayor is trying to balance things. Voters rallied and turned down one recent development.
So we have to think about these things. We have to plan for these things, because if we don't, we are going to eventually die of gentrification. We're going to become hollowed out.
In an area where the Latino community makes up nearly a third of the population, housing costs are pushing people away, says community organizer Alan Munoz.
Folks work predominantly in Aspen and farther south, but have to live in Rifle, Parachute, just because the housing is more affordable down there.
Up to a 2-hour commute.
That's got to be getting harder and harder.
Yeah, that's one of the things we're currently working on, is figuring out what affordable housing really looks like.
The mayor wonders, with limited space, can the town grow up with taller buildings?
I think everybody understands, hey, high-density infill is much more preferable than expanding into the wildland-urban interface, than urban sprawl. But when that happens next to you, it doesn't feel as much like the small community you moved to.
Best corner in town.
That's it.
The small community feel still lives in historic downtown, where at Bullock's, Roger Bullock thrives.
Your sisters are in it, you're in it, and your brother's in it.
Right.
You get along?
Yep.
He likes selling hats and boots.
All it changed. I mean, everything has changed. We're here, it really hasn't changed that much.
The Doc Holliday Museum's down here.
Yes.
In the basement is some history of the hotel that stood before the store. Wyatt Earp brought Doc Holliday here with tuberculosis.
He just decided to bring him out here thinking this is where he needed to be to heal up.
Doc's luck ran out, and he died in the hotel. The hot springs in the rivers that converge here have always been claimed as healing waters.
Are there any greater treasures than this river?
I would absolutely not.
The Colorado twists through Glenwood Canyon.
It's recreation, it's food, it's power.
Water, it's power.
It's life itself.
It is.
Hattie Johnson, stewardship director for American Whitewater. Recently, they were part of negotiations to help guarantee flows. As drought has dropped levels, water has suffered.
It's created high water temperatures, something that in our typical cold water streams is not good for trout species.
Or rafting. And the dryness has brought fire. The 2020 Grizzly Creek fire hit a nerve here.
Immediately, we recognize that there's no way that we're going to be able to put firefighters on those steep slopes.
Lathan Johnson is a deputy fire manager for the BLM. He knows lessons learned from that year he started fighting fires, 1994, when the South Canyon fire on Glenwood Storm King Mountain became a national tragedy.
Right up on top is where the fire started.
We hiked to the memorial for 14 wildland firefighters killed when vicious winds blew up the mountain.
It was a really incredible fire run. The fire spotted into the bottom of the drainage here and basically went from the bottom of this little sub-drainage to the top of that ridge in about 2 minutes.
Seasoned and experienced firefighters from Oregon and Montana.
This outlook went out at 7:30 yesterday.
But as I reported back then, they did not get the information about changing winds coming and died on the hillside.
They were in really good shape, and they tried to run up out of the bottom, and the flames were just faster than they could run to the ridge to get out of the way.
It changed firefighting. More careful deployment of firefighters on the ground, later more aerial equipment for fires like Grizzly Creek. But still, the Grizzly Creek fire and mudslides that have followed have meant closing the highway. Some estimates put that cost as high as $1 million an hour.
It also cuts us off. It cuts off food shipments, it cuts off commerce, and it really severs the state.
Another issue for Glenwood to deal with, but not to break it.
In Glenwood, I wouldn't even call it a problem. I would call it, we have issues, but there's so much opportunity.
That keeps people coming because they want a piece of this place.
They want to live the good life,
And you can see the full special on Glenwood Springs and Uncovering Colorado with Alan Janae coming up Sunday, 5:30, right here on CBS News Colorado.